Hi Rahil, welcome to the interview and connecting to me today. So this video will be recorded and it might be posted on YouTube. So why don't we start with what you have done about your professional career and where are we?
Okay, so thank you, sir, first of all. And so my name is Rahil. I'm from Mumbai, Maharashtra, and I've recently completed my BE in Electronics and Telecommunication. And like I've developed my cloud interest from the final year itself, where I've opted for cloud computing and security subject. So from there, I got the exposure of what cloud technologies and what are the cloud platforms are. So after just completing my BE in EXTC, I've gone for the Azure training where I've learned multiple Azure services. So I've taken a course from a private institute where I've learned on multiple Azure services and done a Microsoft Azure administration course for 2 months. It's a hands-on training, and after that, again, like I got into DevOps. I wanted to move into DevOps, so I've learned about DevOps, what are DevOps, and what are the basics DevOps tool that one need to know to get into DevOps. So I've learned through like Git, Linux, Docker, and the basics of Kubernetes, and I'm still in the learning process.
Right.
So that is all that I've learned till now and made some few projects based on that.
Nice. And I see that you have just passed out this year in
Yes, sir.
great. And you just told me that you have received an offer letter from an organization as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
For a cloud support role.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you,
I
sir.
think our viewers will be very happy to know how you actually bagged it because at this point of time, not many people are getting jobs they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So as a fresh, how did you actually make up for the job? So when I see on your CV, there are just basic projects written. You haven't mentioned that you're
Yes.
working in a company. So how did you
Yes.
get a job like this? And that's a good achievement. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I got this offer letter today itself. And before this, also I got one of the offer letter for a cloud support role from Wipro as well. But like I have some location issues, so I wasn't able to join that. So I got this offer letter. Like I was continuously learning, and whatever services and everything that I have mentioned on my resume, I have like done all of it hands on. So yeah, that's the goal. I mean, I'm continuously learning and continuously applying through Naukri. So I've been searching job for the past like 4 months, and I got it
Mhm.
now. So yeah, continuous learning and continuous applying is what I can say.
Yeah, I think many people who have low experience would actually like to uh, benefit from your little experience that you have, and the way that you have bagged actually two offers that says something on in itself. So, how about we start up with your journey once you pass out of college? What did
Yes.
you do? What did you learn? How did you actually approach the different job sites? What sort of preparations that you do?
Okay, so after just like after the as I'm passed from like I've said I've done B in EA, so I'm passed from a like college. So
Hmm.
there were like placements in my college, but I have a like percentage criteria. So most of the companies require like mostly above 60%.
Right.
So I'm like I didn't have 60% on my SSCs,
Hmm.
so I was like below 60 students. So I'm unable to sit for an interview in my college days. So after I pass out, as I said, like I've taken cloud computing subject in my final year. So I knew that I wanted to go into the cloud domain. So I've started learning through YouTube like what is cloud and all. So after that, I needed a guidance and I needed a complete course where I can learn everything about a particular cloud platform. Then I got to know about like there is an institute classes which like they teach in a proper manner about the
Hmm.
Azure services. Then I have gone and registered that and I've taken that 2 months of training and practiced that everything and like completed the training. Then I got into DevOps tool. I've taken like DevOps course from a YouTube free, and then yeah, I've learned then from there Linux, Git, and base Dockers and everything.
Hmm.
So from there, like I've been applying, and then I got a call like from two, three, most of the companies like, and for job search, I'm using like Naukri.com, I think.
So when you went in for an interview, how many rounds were there in both the companies?
Uh, Actually, the first company took 3 rounds, and this company, which from where I have got the offer letter, they took 2 rounds,
Hmm. And what
and
was
all of
the
them are technical only.
okay? So when they took two rounds, was there any written test as well?
No, sir, actually not written test as well. That was completely based on my resume and like what other services we have worked on, and
Hmm.
cloud questions are there.
So nowadays, even people are not getting called based on resume, and you bagged actually two offers. So there's something about in your resume. How did you prepare your resume? in the first place?
How do I prepare it, sir? It's just like if you see my resume, there are like nothing much. It's all basic things and basic services of Azure as well.
Yeah.
But I just knew like what are like I'm like I've put in on like things on my resume that I really know. I have written the basics of Kubernetes because I just know the basics
Yeah.
only. So whatever I've
Are you okay if I
written,
share your resume?
yeah, I mean I'm like okay,
All right.
not a
What I'll
big
do
deal,
is
but
I'll remove your name. I'll remove your email.
remove my names or address and education context
I
details
will
and all.
do that. I will do that. I think people will be they will be very pleased with whatever you have written, and they would like to know as well. I'm just trying to remove some of the private stuff in there, and let's just mark it as, let's say, XXX. All right. All right. So by the time I do that, tell me about what happened in the interview.
So in the first interview round, obviously, like the basic questions, like oh, from where are you? Tell me something about yourself and
Mm-hmm.
from where you have learned. So I've explained them like I have no this and this services, backup services and this services. So they have asked me counter question based on that. So what is like, for example, AAS, PaaS, and SaaS? What are those? What is the difference between the clouds? Why did you choose Azure? And yeah, that's all the basic question they were asking. After that, they have gone for the like services and few scenario based questions were there, so I've answered them according to the knowledge that I have.
Yep. And did they also ask you about Docker Kubernetes?
Not about the Kubernetes, actually. They asked me about the Docker. So what is
Mhm.
Docker, how Docker works, not about the Kubernetes.
Okay, not about Kubernetes.
Yeah, as it was a like cloud support role, so they want someone like who are good in cloud, not about like Docker. They didn't ask me about much about the Docker and Kubernetes.
Right. So let me just analyze your CV. I think this is highly interesting to all the freshers and low experience people, because what your CV says is what you have actually done. And this is where a
Yeah.
lot of people get confused, because they try to write in all the different technologies. And when it comes to an interview, they struggle with it
Yes.
in justifying it. So I think your CV in here, it's just one page. It's very crisp. And let's try to understand as to why your CV was qualified and why you actually made it up to the two different organizations. So the first line, it says seeking a career in cloud computing DevOps with a focus on leading with a dynamic high tech corporate environment. So this is more like a, yeah, it's just a common line in there, committed and dedicated.
Uh,
And then you have got technical summary, proficient in Azure AD for user management, expertise in IAM policy implementations, skilled in configuring network security groups, UDR rules, Azure Bastion, and Azure Monitor, proficient in creating virtual machines with availability sets, competent in VNet peering, load balancing for the VM snapshots, creating images, blobs, file shares, CDN, VM scale sets, disaster recovery and site planning, worked on Windows and Linux, experienced in VPN gateway and Azure Express route. All right. And a little bit just hands-on Jenkins integration and Docker Hub. And the projects that you have written, you haven't written
yes.
that you have worked anywhere before, and just basic projects. And you've got basic level of skill sets in there and your education. All right. Coming to the certification. So these are the three certifications you have done, right? So Microsoft Azure Foundation, sorry,
Sir, can you hear
Microsoft
me?
Azure Administrator, Oracle Certified Foundation Associate, and Certificate of Publication. So
Yes.
this is your CV. I think I like your CV because it's very straightforward. It doesn't contain any fluff. And that might be the reason why your CV got shortlisted. All right. So let me ask you some questions based on these. All right. So yeah, Rahil, tell me about your interview experiences, and both in Wipro and in the other company that you received the offer from. So what
Okay.
happened there? So when you went to the first interview, so where
Yes.
you grilled a lot in there, what sort of questions? How long did it take? Tell me in detail about that.
Okay. So the first interview was, if I remember, it was like 2 months before. So the first interview round was face to face. Yeah, it was face to face round. I had to go to the location, but it was virtual actually. They
Mm-hmm.
told us first like it was a face to face round. You had to come to our location, and from there it was a virtual round. The person like the interviewer was sitting somewhere in Bangalore, and they're taking the interview virtually. So yeah, they have asked like what are the cloud technology, why do you choose Azure only? So
Yep.
they have some of like the SaaS application running on Azure which they wanted to continuously monitor and uh, keep that application. You just need to monitor the infrastructure, like that kind of some sort of role they needed. So they asked me about like, why did you choose this Azure only? What are the differences? Why did you choose Azure? Why didn't you choose AWS or GCP? So I just give them the honest answer, because I said like, I got to know about the Azure first, and Azure, I feel like Azure is the simplest. Like, you didn't need to create much of the things. You can easily understand Azure. Then you can move to AWS, and
Mm-hmm.
I've answered that question. And then like basic questions which they were asking: what are the differences between us, and what are the load balancers? Like, how can you actually configure the load balancer in Azure? And what are like backend pools are there? What are the backup services? Why do we require? How do you achieve high availabilities of your virtual machine? And what are the replacements of virtual machine if you want to use any pass application? Where you don't want to take care of your infrastructure? So that kind of question they were asking. And what are the Docker architectures, and how Docker is different from the VM virtual machine monitor? And so those sort of question, and based on the services which I have mentioned on my resume, so they have asked that question, and this Jenkins CI/CD project with webhook integrations. So these are the questions they have asked in the
Right.
first round. And then like after the first round, I got a call that you have cleared the first round. So after 3 days, I got an interview for the second round. So in the second round, the similar question were asked, but like few questions were based on my engineering background, like what are the K-maps, what are VLSI. So I didn't have answer for that actually, because that was like few 2-3 years ago, what I have studied. So I just told them whatever I know about the VLSI technology or VHDL. So they were just checking my confidence, like whether I'm able to answer it or not, or whether I got panic, like if someone asked me that question, because that is not related to the cloud.
Okay.
That is something which is completely different, VLSI and FPGAs. So I've answered that. Then they were asking the basic questions, same like some few scenario based questions, and I've answered that, and I got a call. Then third round actually was difficult, because it was like an experienced interviewer was taking that round. So he was asking me about like DevOps. He was asking me more about the DevOps, which I'm not, I would say, really experienced, or
Yep.
I didn't got much exposure, because I've mentioned most of the thing here are from the cloud platform, mostly Microsoft Azure services and everything. So he
Yes.
was asking me more about the pipelines, and what are the security things you can do in the pipeline, what are the plugins you can use for your application and all. So I've completed that round as well. So after that, I got the letter, but I was like, due to some issue and also personal reason were there, so I didn't join that company. So after that, also I've been searching for the job. That was I got the offer letter like 2 months. It was 2 months before.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I was continuously applying after that as well in the Naukri.com
Yep.
for a cloud role. So after that, I got a call from this another company, TSS, and then I just got a call that your interview is scheduled after. I got a call on exactly at 1 p.m. that your interview is at 4 o'clock. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to prepare for your interview. So like in between 2 hours, I've prepared myself all of the services. So I've given the interview. It was I think a week or 10 days before I've given the interview.
Yep.
So yeah, I've given the interview, and they asked me about the same. What are the services? Why do you want to move into Azure only? We have like big infrastructure. Will you be able to do that? You are a fresher. How can you do that? So I tell them like whatever I know, whatever like I've mentioned on my resume, like you can ask me based on that, and I can like I've done everything hands-on, so I can really do that in hands-on as in the company as well in hands-on. So yeah, they were asking me about that. What are the IAM roles, and how you can do, how you can grant access, and about the ADs, and few things about Docker as well, and
Yep.
VPNs and recoveries. So yeah, I've answered that and I've cleared that interview. In the second round was actually quite funny, because in the second round, I think some senior or maybe their TL was taking my second round. So I just went into second round, and it was face to face. I had to go to the location. So in the second round, when I just enter, I'm just being honest, and I'll give you an honest answer. What I have faced in the second round. So I've gone for the second round. So he greets me and I greet him, and he just says, sit down. So he just asked me like, do you solve puzzles? And I said no. I said no at the beginning that no, I'm not really fond of puzzles. So he just gave me a puzzle, and like it took me like 40 minutes, and that puzzle is not even related to cloud.
Right.
So Yeah, he just give me a puzzle and tell me to solve that puzzle. So, like, do you want me to tell that what is that
Yeah,
puzzle?
go for it. Yeah. What sort of puzzle was that? That's interesting.
Actually, he told me that there is a tap and the water is continuously coming from that tap,
Hmm.
and you have a 5 liter bucket and you have a 3 liter bucket.
Yep.
You want to fill only 4 liters of water in a bucket. Like,
Right.
how would you do that? How would you achieve? And he
Okay.
just draw the diagram and give me a pen and paper
Hmm.
and told me to try to solve this.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I was unable to. I was just trying to solve. I have like given so many efforts, but at the end, I just asked him. So he gave me another question. He told me like try to fill 2 liters of water at least first.
Yep.
So like I am writing it down, the bucket, water, everything. Like wasted 3 4 papers. So after that, I just told him like I will fill the 5 liters of bucket full, and then I'll transfer some water into the 3 liter of bucket. The 2 liter will be remaining. So the 2 liter water I filled in that bucket. So he again told me like do that, just do the same thing, but fill the 4 liters of water. So do and like use the same logic and
Yeah.
fill the 4 liters of water in a single bucket. So then I'm trying to again I was unable to do that, but then again I asked him like, can I use one more bucket? So the same thing I did with one more bucket and transfer the two liter of water in
Yeah.
the
And
five
then
liter bucket. So it becomes four. Now he told me like you have done this using 3 liter bucket. Now do it using 2 liter bucket, one 5 liter and one 3 liter. Somehow actually I have done that. Like I did that. I like filled that bucket 4 liter using two buckets only. But when I came home and I'm trying to solve it, like I forgot like how I did that, because it's a like mathematical sort of thing. When you write it down like from 5 liter to 2, 5 to 3, then one is pending. So if you write it down, you'll able to solve it. So he told me, he was helping me throughout the time while I was solving. So he told me write it down, a single number, write it down,
yep.
then make it empty, then write it down zero, then write it down two, three, one. So I was writing it down, and like there is a catch actually in this question. So I was able to solve it. Like it took me, as I said, like 40 minutes, approx 40 minutes. So he was like, yeah, good, now you are able to solve this puzzle. Then I solved that puzzle at the end. Then he asked me like few questions on cloud also, like why do you
Right.
want to join as a cloud role, as a cloud support role, why? So I told him that like that I've told earlier, why do I want to join cloud? Because I like it and I've been exposed to cloud from a final year itself, and I wanted to go into the clouds only because I like the platform, I like the technology. So yeah, then that is how the interview went, and I thought I'm not sure that I would clear that interview, but
Yeah.
yeah, after that I got a call from HR that you clear the interview.
Yeah. I think so. This interview methodology is more like stress testing the candidate. So
Yeah,
it's easy
absolutely.
to solve these sort of questions. So you find these questions on WhatsApp or Facebook or forwarded messages. It's easy to solve them when you're sitting at your home and then just trying to work it
Yeah,
out. You can do it in 2 minutes. But when you are in a stressful situation, when you're in a
yes,
professional environment, I think he might have wanted to check out how your mental state is while you're doing it and how calm and peaceful you are. So I think
yes,
that's
yes.
what he wanted. So you did very well.
Yeah, I was continuously trying to solve, even though like I didn't even understand his question first. So, but I was trying to do like, was just seeing whether the person tries it, because I already told him that I'm not really fond of puzzles and I don't solve it. But still, he gave me the question and told me solve it. I'm giving you a puzzle, solve it. Then I said, okay, so I'll definitely try.
Yeah.
So
I
I
think
think
you demonstrated analytical skills even in a stressful situation. So I think that's what backed you. Well done. All right. So so when is your joining?
joining is on sir 20th of December.
20th of December. Okay. All right. Is there anything that you would want the freshers to focus on? So for those who are just watching this video, I think they'll be very thrilled to know your story here. So for those who are watching you, how should the freshers go ahead prepare? How should they put things in CV? Do you recommend that they put in lots of different technologies, or do you recommend that they just put it very straightforward, only the contents that they know?
So like even I am a fresher, so what can I like? What can I share with them? But yeah, I would say like even like, so I know the Kubernetes and I have done projects on Kubernetes, but I didn't mention it on my CV because I know like if someone would ask me the question based on Kubernetes, the scenario based question, I won't be able to answer that because I'm not that good at Kubernetes. Or but maybe in, like someone asks me the question based on whatever like I have mentioned in my CV, even if it's scenario based question, I will able
Yep.
to answer some, like some of the thing I will able to answer. So
Okay.
that's the thing. I know like Kubernetes as well, and I have like attend like videos, and I know the Terraform as well, but I didn't mention it on my CV because I know like until I know it completely, and like if I know it very well, then only I'll mention it on my CV. So
Right.
like only like put things on your CV which you are really confident that you know it. Whatever you are mentioning, you completely know it.
And you have mentioned
That's why.
two projects here.
Yeah,
Where did you
that
do those
is
projects?
also
Did
very
you?
basic actually.
No, no, that's fine. So my question is, did you do them yourself at your home, or did you actually do it in a professional environment
No, sir, at my home only.
at your home itself?
Yeah, that Jenkins CI/CD project with GitHub integration. Also, like I was watching a YouTube video, and from there, I've done that project hands-on. And this monitoring and alerting system using a job monitor as well, I've
Okay.
done in my home.
Okay. All right. Cool. I think this was a very nice discussion. So you asked for an interview, but thankfully you got a job
Yeah,
before, right? And I think you should be very pleased. And yeah, and so we are not going for any question answer session today.
yeah, it's okay, sir.
This is
Fine.
this is fantastic that you have just received job offers, and I'm impressed that you got two actually. So well done to you.